As of this very moment in time, the Line 6 Helix Stadium and Stadium XL have been released for about 12 to 14 hours, and already people have got their rants about it and people have got their questions about it. So we're going to respond to some of those from some of the Facebook groups around the Line 6 Helix and answer those questions and maybe respond to those rants. No wireless or Line 6 relay integration? Really? Or did I miss that? Now, my take is this. The Line 6 Helix has always been a professional unit. It's always branded itself and marketed itself as a professional unit. Professional players, with all due respect, would choose to have their wireless units separate as an outboard piece of gear from their actual effects unit. Myself, mine sits in my rack with my Line 6 Helix rack, but you can put one on a pedal board. I know Steve Salacci has got his wireless on his pedal board with the antennas pointing up and whatnot. You can get one of the Shure GLXD systems, but the professionals would have a separate outboard unit. An example of something with a built-in wireless would be the Pod Go wireless, but that has never been marketed or branded as a professional unit. It's there for convenience, or it's there to sort of fill a little gap. But as a professional piece of gear, the Line 6 Helix doesn't need a built-in wireless because professionals would have outboard gear. Please correct me if I'm wrong there, but as semi-professional/professional musician myself, it's what I do, it's what all of my colleagues do when they have a Line 6 Helix. They'd always have an outboard wireless system for their guitars, or they just plug directly into the unit. I'm really surprised there was no smaller unit to show. We need a new HX Stomp. I don't understand why this was not included. Bit disappointed. Okay, so this one's a little bit obvious. The Line 6 Helix was introduced in 2015. The Line 6 HX Stomp was released in 2018. Don't you think we should just give them some time to develop it? It ain't going to happen instantaneously. They've just released two brand new products. Give them time. The same thing happened with the Helix and the HX Stomp. It's also very, very likely that we will get some form of Helix native. We will get a rack version. Just give it time. Let Line 6 do their thing. Your HX Stomp still works just fine. Okay, so this is a slightly longer one. Gotta say, the ambiguity of more DSP in the stadium with no mention of how much more is disconcerting. Having no assurance that I can ditch my drop pedal in favour of Helix poly effects just bugs me. Plus, having to start from scratch on cabs when porting over existing Helix Flow presets was a little glossed over as I thought it wasn't a big deal. Whereas I spent a lot of my time dialing in cabs on some of my existing presets. I honestly didn't expect a new flagship at all, so I'm not extremely disappointed, just concerned that it may not equate to a huge upgrade for the investment in my use case. Okay, with the DSP aspect, you do have a good point. However, it's also worth mentioning that you can have up to 12 blocks per line, and you can also split multiple paths. I've seen on some examples 2 splits per single path. And plus with the new Line 6 Agora amp modeling technology or whatever it is, I'm pretty sure you're going to be safe on DSP. I highly doubt that they'd release a new product like this without the ability to do what you are requesting with all the poly pitch effects. I will say though, I do not have a problem creating signal paths with poly pitch effects. See this video up here. I've got some presets you may want to take a look at in how I've worked them with some of the poly effects. I have had to not sacrifice but create some workarounds in some of the tones. However, they work just fine. So take a look at that. Who else would like a rack mount version for the studio, guys? Me. Up there. However, I have been thinking, if I'm playing live shows, with the showcase feature that they've got, where you can load in your band's backing tracks via an SD card, and you can use showcase mode to select where in that track as it's playing certain presets change, certain parameters change, certain snapshots change, etc, etc, etc. I could just get the normal XL Floor Stadium Helix, leave it at the back of the stage, run an expression pedal to the front of the stage, and then I'm pre-landed, because the only real reason I've got the rack version is because people spill beer in some smaller shows. That's pretty much it, and the Helix control is a lot cheaper to replace than a full-blown Helix. So, you know, that's my thinking there for myself. But yeah, it would be nice to have a rack version. We'll wait to see. But I think for my personal use with the showcase mode, it's going to be a non-issue just having the normal floor unit. Maybe someone smarter than me can correct me, but I'm under the impression that the Stadium will only come with a handful of amps to start. What about all the amps I currently love and use now, like all the EVH amps? I don't want to have to wait months for an update just to get them. Did I miss something? I think you did. From what I can take from the announcement and the stuff I've read online, you can actually take your HLX files from your standard Helix over to the Stadium series. And I'm pretty sure there'll be like Legacy or Helix amps within it, but there will only be 12 amps, I think, of the new Agora engine amps in the Helix Stadium. I'm editing this video now and I've just realised it's actually 16 guitar amps and 6 bass amps. So you'll still be able to use all your legacy stuff, with the caveat that the cab sections of the amps, or the engine for the cabs, has changed in the Helix Stadium, so you may have to redo your cabs and make some adjustments there. Any chance the new Helix has 2 XLR inputs? I need 2 for sax and flute. Currently using a quad Cortex because it has 2, but would sell if a Helix would do it. Now look at the I/O options on the Helix Stadium XL. There are 2 instrument inputs and 1 XLR input. It's also got the 4 effects send and returns. So you could utilize those, not necessarily with an XLR, but with an instrument cable if it's possible at all. You could probably do it with some sort of microphone or whatnot. I'm not 100% sure, but there's got to be a way to be able to do it. But there's only going to be 1 actual XLR input by the looks of it. But again, 2 separate instrument inputs. No Pod Go updates. Helix, Schmelix. Pod Go and Helix are 2 different things. Does anyone remember what the dimensions of the Stadium and Stadium XL are? Yep, so as we've seen on a number of other posts, but just to show you guys here as well, it's considerably smaller. The Stadium and Stadium XL are considerably smaller than the LT and the full Helix floor. The Helix floor is 22 inches, the Helix LT is 20.9 inches, the Helix Stadium XL is 19.4 inches, and the Helix Stadium is 16 inches. So there is a considerable difference there. It's going to be about 2 inches difference between the floor and the XL, and a total of 6-inch difference between the floor and the Stadium. So there are the dimensions there. It's pretty good, I think, to have reduced that size as they have. The Stadium XL is $400 more for a foot pedal and scribble strips only, or is there more DSP too? Nope, there's no more DSP. I see what you're saying, but when you take into consideration the OLED strips, they're not cheap, and neither would be the extra engineering to add an expression pedal, the wiring, the metal or whatever materials into the overall thing for the XL. There are going to be costs involved there. But I think they are going after 2 different markets. It's probably the quad Cortex market the Stadium is going after, or something along the lines of, and then the larger one is obviously an upgrade from the Helix floor itself, which pretty much sets the standard as far as I'm aware, or as far as I see it. It's almost like the Helix LT versus the Helix floor. There's no scribble strips there. Doesn't bother a lot of people, but I think it'll be handy on the Stadium if on the screen, like the LT without the scribble strips, it shows you what preset you're on or what effect you're on. I think that'll be a good idea, but time will tell. It sucks that I have to pay for an extra accessory to keep using a Variax. I bought into the entire Line 6 digital modeling rig, including Variax and a Power Cab Plus, but only the Helix itself continues to be supported, and this is a step farther away from supporting the Variax. I no longer care about Power Cab, give up on it, but the extra accessory cost is a pisser. I'm in 2 minds about this one. I'm not a Variax user myself. I have thought about it. My Power Cab doesn't need that particular output. I just go from the XLR into the power cab, and from the power cab into the sound desk. So that feature for me isn't a necessity, but I see where you're coming from about having the extra expander. However, what it does allow for, it allows for better integration for other users, not specifically for Variax users. Yes, you've got to buy an expander. However, I think for the vast majority of people who use Helix and have adopted Helix, it's not a deal breaker for them, unfortunately. But I see where you're coming from. That for yourself, it would be a pain in the ass. Sounds like a lot of relearning and tinkering instead of playing. Okay, that may be the case, but you would have had to learn and tinker with the Line 6 Helix, HX Stomp, HX Stomp XL, etc., etc., etc. But I think the difference with Stadium, with some of the options that they've got, it makes it a lot more intuitive and quicker to get a sound you want. Like the hype function, you can pick an amp if it doesn't quite sound the way you want it, turn that to see if it'll get a little bit more to how you like it. Plus the little thing on the touchscreen where you can go up, down, left, right, and it'll change the sound of what you're doing based on the type of sounds. I can't explain it, but you may want to look into that feature. It'll take the learning out of it completely, and it'll just be a really, really cool, quick thing to get a good tone. Did they mention any up-and-coming updates to the existing Floor and LT models? The time of recording this video, it is the 12th of June. The latest firmware update was in May. So, I mean, updates come when they come for that, and I'm very grateful that they're continuing to update the Helix as far as they have and into the future as well. Any talk of how much the Nexus adapter will cost for Variax support? Yep, so from what I can see, the expand D10 unit for like the Variax support and the external connections is going to be $219.99. So it is another cost on top. However, if that's what you want and that's what you need for the functionality of the Variax with the new Helix, you might as well just get it. Just to add it in as well, the EX2, which is the new expression pedal specifically for the Stadium series, but apparently will also work for the HX and pod lines as well. Just plug and play. That's going to be $150 roughly. Not sure about the UK, but that's from what I can see online right now. So when are YouTubers coming out with the Stadium demo vids? As soon as it comes out, I'm going to try to buy one. I am not rich, so we shall see what happens. But I'm hoping to do other content like I did for the Line 6 Helix a number of years ago with some tips, tricks, routing options, all that good stuff. Maybe for bass specifically like I'd done before, and it was very, very popular, so I might do that again. Is the Helix Stadium a Helix 2 or not? Is it the successor to the Helix or not? I'm going to say yes, it is the successor. And if you think about it, the way they released it, it's obviously the successor to it. So, yes. But from what we can tell, they're still going to be supporting the Helix for some time again. So there you have it. Just a response to a few of the rants and questions and comments around the Line 6 Helix Stadium and Stadium XL that I've seen on Facebook. We're probably going to be talking about this for quite some time. I've got to get one. I've got to get one. I've got to get one. My Helix is hissing at me again. All right, man. I'll keep you if you want. You're just going to have a friend. Anyway, guys, I'll see you again very soon. Take it easy.